Ohayou gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa, for whenever you're listening to the Joshi Pod, your weekly podcast about the world of Japanese women's wrestling. Joshi Wrestling, I'm your host, Eric Howard, coming to you from beautiful San Diego, California. I'm counting down the days until I leave for Japan. Fingers crossed that it'll still happen. I board an airplane on Tuesday in LAX, and I arrive in Tokyo on Wednesday the 18th. Guys, the world is a little crazy right now, as you guys know. The coronavirus, or whatever, the COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. It's a crazy place right now. Here in the States, it's getting a little wild. People buying up all the toilet paper and canned foods and hand sanitizers and disinfectant sprays and wipes and all that kind of good stuff. I understand why they're doing it. I've done it a little bit myself, I can't lie. A lot of uncertainty going on right now, but I am going to make my trip over to Japan. I'm going to wipe down my seat on the airplane. I'm going to clean everything. I'm going to wipe down my hotel room when I get there. I'm going to be extra precautious. I'm taking extra precautions. I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to do all that kind of good stuff. And I would encourage all you guys to do it too. You know, let's try to get past this together as smart human beings, which is not always our strengths, but let's work together. Let's get past this and move on so we can start enjoying our Joshi wrestling together, or people that watch the NBA or NHL or Major League Baseball. Let's work past this, guys. It's a scary time, but let's work together. On the show this week, we're not going to do any headlines. The coronavirus has pretty much put a damper on a whole lot of things going on in the world of Japanese women's wrestling, and I think the show's being canceled. The coronavirus has really just hit pause on a lot of things going on in the world of Joshi wrestling. So we're not going to do any headlines this week. The show of the week this week, I'm going to tell you guys to go over to the No Particular Angle podcast. JPQ, the host, and I covered the No People Gate from Stardom that happened last weekend, which aired live on YouTube. We talk about all sorts of things. We go into pretty good depth about the Battle Royal and the whole card. The show is the main event of the show was Mayu Iwatani versus Saki Kashima. That's my JPQ impression. I apologize, JPQ. But Saki Kashima in the main event and Lumberjill match. Those two had a wonderful match. Saki Kashima, if you want to know about her fashion, her outfit, JPQ is the guy. He's a Saki Kashima lover, and I called him Mr. Kashima on the podcast, but he's a big fan. Yeah, he can tell you about every bit about Stardom fashion. Hashtag watch Stardom. That's for you, JPQ. But again, I'll put a link to this show on the show notes, but we go into great detail. No reason to reinvent the wheel here and double it up again. JPQ did a wonderful job steering me along, and we covered that show in depth. So that's the show of the week this week. We will briefly look at the light schedule this week for shows that are happening in Japan, including Ice Ribbon's big show at Korakuen Hall. Because of the weirdness of all the schedules, we're not going to talk about where Joshi performers are performing outside of Japan, but we do have a big main event interview. We are joined by Ice Ribbon's Akane Fujita. It took us 20 episodes, guys, but we finally got a Japanese women's wrestler on the Joshi Pod. I've had like 5 guys or something like that on the Joshi Pod so far. It's a Joshi Pod. I finally got a woman, a Japanese woman. Yay! I'm doing the old school, like, shaking my arms, like I'm proud of myself. But she was very kind to give us her time before her match last weekend in San Diego. I had to work through a translator, so that was a bit of a challenge. It was a good dress rehearsal for my interview I have on the 19th with Bull Nakano, which will be done through a translator as well. So Akane is such a sweetheart, very kind, and my translator, Derek Coulterman, co-worker, a friend, more of a friend than a coworker, but he's bilingual. He translated for me and did a wonderful job. This one took some editing, guys, so because it's a whole different ball game having to use a translator to speak with somebody, and I lost my train of thought a few times during the interview, but again, good dress rehearsal for my interview with Bull on the 19th. Without further delay, let's look at the shows this week in Japan, which are brought to you by who else but Nolan and the team at Quiet White Designs. If you need a t-shirt, logo, a show posters, Snapchat filter, whatever. Nolan can do it. Reach out to the team at Quiet White Designs. He'll give you a virtual high five if you follow him on Twitter at QWD_official. They also have a website now. Visit QWDofficial.com. Go support the show sponsor. Buy a Boiler Room tee or get their Los QWD tee. Support the guys on Facebook as well at QUIETWYATT, one word, designs. Let's support Nolan. Let's support Quiet White Designs. Let's talk about the shows this week. So on the 14th, Ice Ribbon has a big show at Korakuen Hall. The main event is the Ice X Infinity title match with Maya Yukihi versus Hiragi Kurumi. There's a real fun four-way ladder match that I wish I was there to see. It's Ram Kaichao, Rini Yamashita, Risa Sera, and Satsuki Totoro, which will be a really fun match. Also, Tsukasa Fujimoto is going to face Suzu Suzuki. Aja Kong's also on there. Two of my favorites are also on the card. Tekla, who was a former guest of the Joshi Pod, and Yappy, who I hope is a future guest of the Joshi Pod, is on the show as well. They are in the 8-man tag match. They're teaming together. Also on the 14th, Ozi Academy is in Aichi. On the 15th, Diana has a morning show at Shinkiba for String. Gato Move is at Ichikaya Chocolate Square. Pure J is at the Kami Arena in Tokyo. Actress Girls has an evening show at Shinkiba for String. The main event of that is a champion versus champion match. Miyuki Takase versus Nagisa Nozaki. I think they're going to have a show on a wave show a little bit later on, but the two champions are facing off in one on each of the company's shows. Again, it's a light schedule this week, but let's support them on social media or however else we can support them right now while their shows are being postponed or canceled. And let's find creative ways to at least show them that hey, you may not be having shows right now, but we're supporting you from around the world.
This is the War Master Josh Barnett, and you're listening to the Joshi Pod.
And before we get to that big main event interview, I want to thank you guys again for downloading this abbreviated version of the Joshi Pod. If you'd like to follow the show on Twitter, you can at the Joshi Pod. Again, guys, I travel to Japan next week. Daily content. Gonna do some video content. Look for me on YouTube at the Joshi, or not at the Joshi Pod, but look for the Joshi Pod. And I'm gonna try to do some video stuff as well. I'm gonna try to show you where some of the bars and stuff are at that are wrestling related. The DDT bar in Shinjuku is one place I'm planning on visiting, and I'll show you guys how to find that because it's kind of hard to find a little bit. But we'll do that. So guys, enjoy the chat with Akane Fujita. I will talk to you next week from Tokyo, Japan. Arigato gozaimasu. All right, I'm really excited to have on the Joshi Pod this week Akane Fujita. Welcome to the show.
女子ポでようこそ、女子ポでようこそ。藤田茜さんが今日はゲストで来ていただいてます。
はい。
So why did you become a wrestler?
レスラーになるきっかけは何だったでしょうか。
プロレスを見るのが好きだったのでやってみようかなっていう。
She enjoyed watching pro wrestling, so she thought she'd try it.
Who did you watch when you were a kid?
子供の頃に誰を見てましたか？
デスマッチ大日本プロレスビッグジャパン
Big Japan Pro Wrestling
デスマッチ
Death match?
Yes.
Was it the men or the women?
女子の方だった男子の方だった？
男子です。
The men's wrestling.
Is that why you think you enjoy wrestling men now and death matches now? Is because you watched it when you were a kid?
今男子とレスリングするのは子供の頃で見てたからそれで楽しいのでしょう。
楽しいです。そうですね。女子との試合も楽しいけど、なんか男の人相手だとなんだろう、もっと思いっきりぶつかれるから。
She enjoys wrestling with women as well, but when she's wrestling with men, she can really go at it full bore, and it's much more fun.
And you had a pretty rough match this past week. You lost some teeth?
先週のマッチは大変でしたね。
大変でしたよ、もう本当にもう痛くて痛くて。もう
Absolutely, it hurt like crazy.
What happened?
何が起こったでしょうか
歯が4本かけました。
I had 4 teeth knocked out.
How?
どうやって
わかんない。多分コーナーでのラリアットを
Not really sure, but just
でいいってなってて食いしばっちゃってたから衝撃で。
she was kind of clinching and the impact from getting hit there probably really did the damage.
Is that Japanese strong style?
それはジャパンストロングスタイルですか
ストロングスタイルです。
Tell me about training. When you first started training, how physical, how hard was it to train? We hear horror stories about Japanese women's wrestling training.
最初にトレーニング始まった時はどのぐらい大変だったでしょうか、
いやもう泣いてました。ずっと泣い
She
て
cried all of the time.
もう道場行きたくないってなってて。
She wanted to not go back to the ring.
Why did you keep coming back?
でそれでも戻ってきたのは何だったでしょうか、
やっぱり私日本の愛媛っていう田舎の方なんですよ。でそこを出るときに絶対プロレスラーになって帰ってくるって言っちゃったので諦めたらダメと思って。
When she was growing up, she lived in Ehime, which is kind of in the countryside, and she made the commitment that she was going to come back as a pro wrestler. So she couldn't come back until she did that and made it real.
What does your family think about you being a wrestler?
家族はプロレス選手としてどの考えでしょうか。
うちの親プロレス多分見たことがあるのかないのかっていうぐらい全然興味がなかったので、なんかで自分がその家に近いところで試合するときは見に来てくれて応援すごいしてくれてます。
She doesn't think their parents had any experience of having watched it until she came and performed in matches that were close by her hometown, and then they came and they really cheered her on.
I'm going to ask you about some of the wrestlers you've been in the ring with over your career.
キャリアにわたっていくつかの選手の相手についてちょっと質問します。
はい。
One of my favorite wrestlers is Rina Yamashita. She's a very hardcore too. Tell me a little bit about wrestling Rina.
リナに相手にしてるの経験をちょっとお話してください。
いやーあいつはなんだろうな、もうなんか永遠のライバルです。
She's a everlasting, never-ending rival,
うん、
for sure.
負けたくない。
She doesn't want to lose to her.
You have very similar styles to fighting.
スタイルはすごく似てると。
そうなの、似てる似てる。
Yes, agreed.
でも私ラリアットをしないから。
But she doesn't. ラリアット。
クローズライン。
Oh, she doesn't.
ノークローズライン。
No
山
close
下
line.
山下もう目にクローズライン。
You are around Manami Toyota, who's a legend as well. What's it like being around Manami, and does she tell stories about her time in wrestling?
マナミトヨタさんのもう伝説的な選手で彼女からの聞いた話は何か面白いストーリーありますか？
面白いかな。トヨタさんお酒がすごい好きなんですよ。
She loves to drink.
で、
She
私も
loves
す
the
ごい好
drink.
きなんですよ。
And so do I.
一緒にめっちゃ飲みます。
She's the second person that told me Manami likes to drink.
2回目にマナミさんは飲むのは好きだと聞いてるんですって。
いやもうすごい飲む。
What does she like to drink?
一番好きな飲み物は何でしょうか？マナミさんの。
トヨタさんなんだろう、ハイボール。
ハイボール。
ウイスキー。
What do you drink?
私はウーロンハイ。
ウーロンティー、highball kind of.
Oh, okay.
With
アンドレモンサワ
and lemon sour.
Strong Zero? No?
ー。ストロングゼロは人をダメにします。
The strong zero destroys her.
My friends, I'm going to Japan in 2 weeks, and my friends want me to bring them back Strong Zeros.
2週間後には私は日本に行ってきますけど、お土産としてはみんなは ストロングゼロを持ってこいと言われてます。
頭おかしい。クレイジークレイジー。
So you wrestle mostly for Ice Ribbon, but sometimes you go wrestle for other companies too. What's it like to go wrestle for Seedling or Wave or people like that to wrestle in a different company every once in a while?
アイスリボン外のショーにもレスリングをしていると聞いてるんですけど、その別の経験としてはいかがですか？
でもなんかもう全然違うっていうよりもアイスリボンの選手も出てたりとか、アイスリボン出てくれてる人が多いから、やっぱ団体的になんかあんまりこう違うところでやったっていうのはなくて。
With Ice Ribbon, she said that a lot of the other wrestlers as well go out and wrestle outside, and they let others come in, they invite others in as well. So she doesn't really feel like it's a different experience.
だからね、こうやって全然何も関係ないところでやる経験がすごいプラスにはなるのかなと。
But she thinks that wrestling in events like the ones today are great experiences because they're not part of that. So that is a different experience. But
So I talked to a lot of people from the U.S. and from Europe who want to go to Japan to wrestle. Is it important for you to come to the U.S. to wrestle?
他のインタビューではヨーロッパの人とかアメリカの人は日本に行ってレスリングをしたいっていう方は多く聞くんですけど、逆にアメリカに来て経験を積むのはどうお考えですか？どの考えですか？
いやー、なんだエンターテインメントっていう面っていうか、その見せるっていうかパフォーマンス的なものがこっちの人ってすごいじゃないですか。
The performance or the entertainment value of shows here is great from her perspective.
そうこっちに来て試合した人とかがやっぱりそういう面ですごいプラスになってすごいこの人見せ方がすごくなってるっていうのがあったので勉強したいなと思ってこっち。
She's seeing wrestlers who have come here and gained some of that experience with the entertainment and the performance value. Coming back, they're like, wow, their level is really increased in the performance, and so she wants to learn that as well.
So do you follow like Io Shirai and Asuka and Kairi? Do you watch them on TV still to see what they're doing now?
そういうアスカ、カイリ、イロシライのテレビでも見たりとかして、それを勉強っていうことがをしてますかと。
しますね。
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
So you're going to be in America for a couple of weeks or for a couple of months actually. What are you looking forward to during your trip here? This isn't your first trip to America.
今回は初めての経験ではないでしょうか？
はい、2回目です。
This is our second time, and you'll be here for 2ヶ月ぐらいをここにいるということなので、どういう経験を積んでいきたいと。
経験ね、そうね。でもとりあえずなんだろうな、組まれてる試合をこなして有名になりたいんですよこっちで。
She wants to have a big break and become famous here in the States.
そうだからそうですね、試合も頑張るし。
She's going to do her best in the matches here.
覚えてもらえるように。
And she wants to be able to have people remember her.
She has. I remembered her from the last time she was here in Los Angeles.
もうそれはできてますよ。前回ロスに来た時から私は覚えてますよと。
いつだ？何の試合の時ですか？
What match was it in?
AWS. I don't have it on my phone, but it's AWS in LA.
ロスの方の AWS の試合を日にちは覚えてないんですけど、その時からはもう覚えてると。
3way、4way、4way。
I think so, yeah.
いや嬉しい。
So that makes you very happy.
So you're over here with Kikataru. How is he helping you while you're here in America?
キカタルさんはアメリカにいる間にはどういうふうに手伝っているかというかサポートしていますか？
菊太郎さんが、
はい、
私に対して、
はい、
いやでも試合も全部ブッキングしてもらってるし。
He's doing all of the bookings for the shows that she's
運転も
performing.
全部してもらってるし
He's driving her to all of the places as well,
そう英語喋れないから通訳してもらってるし
and he's also doing translation for her, since she says she doesn't speak much English.
His English isn't very good either.
彼も英語はあまり上手くないって言ってた。
あらあとご飯も作ってくれます
And he also helps with preparing food.
I watch his YouTube videos sometimes of him cooking.
時々は彼の料理する YouTube ビデオも見てます。
おお
Junko.
ちゃんこ
How have American fans accepted you, or how do the American fans treat you, knowing that you've come all the way from Japan to wrestle in America?
アメリカのファンはどういうふうに受けてくれてるんでしょうか。遠い日本からここまで渡ってきて、どういうふうに受けてもらってるんでしょうかと。
ほうアメリカのファンが
Yes. はい。
えどういうことだ
I'm not sure I understand the question. She said.
Oh, just how do fans accept her? How are they receptive to her?
受けて入れてくれてるのでしょうか。そういう気持ちは伝わってくるのかとか、試合の時には
あ
もうすごく応援してくれてるのでしょうか。そう
ね
ということ。
前回来た時がもういっぱいいっぱいすぎてもう自分のことでいっぱいいっぱいだったからそういうのが感じれなかったんですよ
The first time she was here, she was so focused and kind of enveloped in her own experience that she didn't have an opportunity to really pay attention to that or observe that.
そうだから
じゃあ今回はそれをちょっともっと
ちょっと
So this time she thinks that she'll be able to, experience that perspective of it a little bit more.
So as we kind of wrap up here, I want to ask you a couple more questions. One, I'm doing an interview with Bull Nakano soon, and I ask a lot of the wrestlers, what does Bull Nakano mean to them?
じゃもうそろそろ終わりにするんですけど、それを日本に行くときにブル中野さんのインタビューもするんですけど、それをできるだけ他のレストランにも、
はいはい
中野さんの存在とかそういうはあなたにとってどういう意味のあるでしょうかと。
中野さんはじゃあもう遠い存在すぎてですね。
She's somebody who's so far, so distant from me.
一度挨拶させてもらったんですけど、やっぱオーラがすごい。
She had an opportunity to meet her one time, and she said the aura that she portrays is amazing.
So her style is similar to your style. It was pretty. I mean, for the time, it was pretty hardcore.
スタイルは当時でもハードコアの方だったと似てるんじゃないでしょうかと。
ああ、そうですか
Really?
Yeah, it's very hard hitting, very very rough.
とてもラフで
はいはい。
Do you watch videos ever of the old matches like that?
当時のビデオとかそれを見ることはありますか？
当時のはないですね。
No, not really. Yeah.
So, like I said before, I talked to some of the people that come from Europe and stuff to go to Japan. Tekla has been on my show.
Tekla.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about Tekla, how she fits in over in Japan.
テクラは日本のプロレスの中ではそれをどの位置づけでしょうかと、どういう存在でしょうか。
テクラはね、でもみんなに可愛がられてます、だいぶ。
Everybody really likes her. They think she's really cute.
なんかリング使ってないアンダーグラウンドで前回来た時にはそんなにプロレスができなかったんですけど、もうすぐ覚える、何でも。
So, when they don't use the ring in underground matches, I'm guessing, she was able to quickly pick up lots of different things really quickly.
Okay, one last person I want to ask you about is Yappy. She speaks English, she speaks Japanese. How important do you think it is to have somebody in a company that can speak English to communicate through social media and places like that to get the word out for Ice Ribbon or other companies?
最後の選手としてはヤッピー英語も日本語も話せることできるから、そういう人が プロレスのグループにあることはどのぐらい大事でしょうか。それをもっと情報をシェアできるとかソーシャルメディアで、そういう発信できる
そう
ことは
今までこう日本語でしか書いてなかった注意書きとか、これをしちゃダメです、これはやってくださいとかっていうことを全部英語に訳してくれてるので、すごい助かってます。愛する
She said that Yappy has been able to translate kind of the rules that they've got, things that they have to be careful of, and now that's very helpful. It used to not have it in both languages.
So real quick, I have to ask about the coronavirus. What is shows are some companies are canceling shows, postponing shows. What's it like right now in Japan is with the feeling about the coronavirus?
今流行ってるその新型肺炎のことですけど、それは日本ではどのような影響はあるんですか。そのショーを中止になったりとかっていうことを聞いてるんですから、どういう考えでしょうか。
今半分以上中止になってるのかな。
Probably more than half the shows have been canceled.
けどそうですね、なんかその病気のことがあるからやらないのもありなんですけど、そういう時にねプロレスって力くれるのになっていうのは。
She said she understand that there's the the risk of getting sick and things like that, but at the same time doing the pro wrestling also lends power to people and can be a good thing.
All right, final question. What should people expect when they come see Akane Fujita wrestle?
最後の質問ですけど、藤田さんのマッチを見に来るときは何を期待すべきでしょうか。
根性根性負けない折れない心。
Her 根性 she's not going to lose, she's not going to give up her fighting spirit.
So thank you so much for being on the Joshi Pod. I thank you for your time, and maybe we'll catch you in Tokyo next time.
今日女子ポッドに出ていただいて本当にありがとうございます。でまた日本に行く時でもまた再会できると嬉しいです。
嬉しいです。